First of all, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Camille. Thank you, William. I'm Eze. So I've got a few questions or some kind of things to throw at you so that you get an idea of what I'm going to talk about. So, did you know, for instance, that visa application fees extract millions from Africa? So, in 2023, almost over 900 million was realized from Schengen visa application fees. Out of the over 900 million, 61 million came from rejected visa applications. And in the UK, between 2020 and 2023, over almost 600 million was realized from only 5 African countries from visa application fees. So, what do these figures reveal about financial flows from the global north? The global south to the global north. So, this is a work in progress, and I will appreciate your feedback so that we can be able to tweak it and make it better. So, the research question is just about what's the scale and significance of institutional reverse, what we call institutional reverse remittance flows from African countries to the UK through visa application fees. My name is, again, Ezenwa, and I'm working on this paper with Dr. Cletus. He's the quantitative guy. So we're going to, have a lot of tables, and I'm not the quantitative guy, but I can answer a few of your questions regarding the numbers. Why do we study visa application fees? Most often people think visa application fees are this administrative, cost that people, need to bear. But most often, they are extractive financial flows. They impose not just financial cost on people, they impose emotional cost on people, and at the same time deny them mobility. And visa application fees also reveal unequal mobility infrastructure, or what we call global apartheid, where who can move, under what conditions, and at what cost people on the move who experience their mobility are controlled, as well as the generation of revenue. So, for instance, since 1978, the visa fee, normal visitor visa fee for Japan has been £14. They only changed it recently, I think last week, to £70. Whereas in the UK, an average, the cheapest visitor visa fee is £151. And it can reach up to £3,000 for some people in certain categories. I wish I'm making up these figures. Yeah. So, what are remittances, or what do we call remittances? In the remittance literature, remittances are kind of resources. It can be economic, it can be emotional, it can be social resources that are sent by migrants to their relatives in their communities and in their countries of origin. And also in the reverse remittance literature, we have what we call reverse remittances. The resources that move the other way around. This involves transfers from the countries of origin to migrants abroad. So it's like someone in Ghana, relatives of a person in Ghana sending money to the student in the UK. So now there exists, because a lot of studies are now kind of engaging in what goes beyond the interpersonal, remittance transfers. There now exists that we don't have concepts that could be able to capture the sort of remittances that go beyond interpersonal level. So those that can capture institutional scale of remittances, or reverse direction of the remittances, or those remittances that involve extractive mechanisms. We don't have that kind of concept. So when we're dealing with this data that we got from the Home Office, we couldn't kind of find a concept to use to describe what we were saying. So then we came up with the concept of institutional reverse remittances. we've done the first reverse and resubmit for this paper. The reviewers, they are really angry. No, you shouldn't use this. So, but we're able to, kind of explain to them that there is no word that can capture the institutional level of these remittances and even the reverse aspect of it, and as well, the extractive nature of this kind of remittances. So, we call it institutional reverse remittances, fiscal outflows collected by agencies, maybe embassies abroad, through visa application fees and related payments, and then transferred to the treasury of the receiving state. So the methods, the data and cases we used Home Office data. We have the link in the Microsoft Word that I shared. So the cases, we focused on Ghana, Kenya, Nigeria, Sierra Leone, and South Africa. Why? Because of the historical and post-colonial ties of these countries to the UK, and they have got established, kind of mobility, history of people moving from those areas to the UK, and also high relevance of these countries to the sort of the quantity and quality of the UK visa fees that kind of flow from those areas to the UK. So the analysis, we analyzed visa application revenue and not the money paid to VFS. I know some of us know the VFS, yeah, not the money paid to VFS. So we'll also analyze the fees that we use the sort of the results, the quantity of refusals, the visas that were issued, and those that the applications that were withdrawn. So with all this, we try to establish a pattern to review the mobility control and institutional reverse remittances that are involved in these data. So we used the time frame was between 2020 and 2023. So this is the first stats. So this regards, in this you can see year-on-year change in visa fee revenue from these 5 countries. So with regards to Ghana, you will see between 2021 and 2020 and 2021, they realized almost 1.7 million. Then between 2021 to 2022, it rose to over 6 million. Then 2022 to 2023, it got to 23 million. So have a look at that of Nigeria. It rose in 2020 in 2021 to 2022 from 34 million to 91 million. Then it fell again.
Easy.
Yeah.
Quick clarification question.
Yeah.
Are these the actual amounts, or are these?
These are the actual amounts.
So there's not. So it's Nigeria, for example, did not get an additional 34 million from 2020 to 2021. This is the actual amount.
This is the actual amount realized from the visa application, the data that we analyzed.
Okay.
Yeah. So, having overall the revenue growth is is evident, self-evident in this data. Nigeria has got the largest increase, except in 2022 to 2023. So this is how the revenue, the kind of how they match with the years, and the kind of amount that we are accrued in each year. So now we're handling it country by country. So this is Ghana. If you have a look, you will see that between 2022 and 2023, the rejection, the number of visa rejections were higher than those that were issued. Yeah. So in total, over 100,000 applications were made. They issued only about 54,000. The rejection, 44,000. So 44,000 people were not issued their visas, even though they paid the amount, and the amount came over as reverse remittance. So despite the fact that the applications rose sharply, the volume of refusal remained high. Yeah. So Kenya, and then Nigeria. Nigeria has got the highest number of refusals. Over 170,000 people got their visas refused, whereas they also paid money, or their, kind of their money were taken. So Nigeria has got the highest, the largest application counts as well as the refusal counts in the sample, with the approval rate being so low when you compare with the number of applications that were made. So Sierra Leone, they've got a very low application, but refusal, the rate for refusal was also relatively high. Then South Africa, they've got a very different, kind of data. They've got the rate of the visa application, their acceptance was so high to the extent that they've got an average of 91. You've got 91, over 95% chances of having your visa approved. So 190. I think I didn't get the figures. I made a mistake in. So applications were over 100,000, and the rejection was 6,000. The rejection was very low. So what does this say about the visa market in these 5 countries? Nigeria is the largest visa market in Africa, with the highest application and refusal counts. Ghana is a growing market with high refusals and also uneven approval. Kenya has got the smallest market and strong approval. Sierra Leone, a very small market with very high refusal pressure. South Africa has got high volume market and very high approval. So what we kind of, some of the things, these discussions we did in the paper is that visa fees are also a tool for domestic policy or politics. So visa fees are framed as migration control, not just as migration, but also they serve domestic, fiscal, and political gains. So during Rishi Sunak's time, he made an announcement that they will increase the visa application fees to raise 600 million to support the police. So within that period, they were able to raise just from 5 African countries. Then you would then wonder, how much did they realize from the rest of Africa? Just from 5 African countries, they raised almost that 600 million for the police. So therefore, visa fees or visa application fees can help fund domestic programs and also fund or support the, please the far-right people. So visa fee regimes turn mobility control into transnational revenue extraction for domestic political gains. And just to put a little bit of human face to this, we used 2 cases of a Nigerian family and a Kenyan husband. So there is this story, or the case of a Nigerian family. The guy, they've got a business. He works with the NHS. He has got his postgraduate degrees here. They couldn't afford to pay their renewal fees. It was up to the tune of £26,000, just visa application fees. I'm not making it up. So he has got like 3 or 4 families. If you total the amount, is up to 26,000. I've got the links also there. So then another case is the Kenyan husband, whose wife died while they were processing her visa. The NHS, the Home Office, initially, but I think they later gave him the money, refused to refund the over 3,000 pounds for insurance health surcharge. So anybody coming into the UK on several types of visas, as long as it's not visitor visa, you need to pay this amount, 3,105 pounds to the UK Treasury for you to be able to arrive into the UK. So visa extraction can continue after arrival. So during renewal and even after death. So whereas EU nationals under the EU settlement scheme, they didn't pay any fee to remain in the UK. So why? Why should there be kind of why should there be this idea of you pay and the other person will not pay, while all of them still want to remain in the UK? So visa regimes sustain institutional reverse remittances through pre-entry and post-entry extraction with an unequal burden falling on migrants from the global south. So, conclusion. Between 2020 and 2023, the UK extracted, just from 5 countries, over 600 million pounds. So, visa application fees is an infrastructure for revenue generation as well as for migration control. The burden is uneven across countries and continues before entry, after arrival, and during renewal. So visa application fees therefore operate as a mechanism of institutional reverse remittances. Thank you very much.
Thank you.